What's going on? You already know it's your boy, Little T. Back in full effect. You already know how I'm rocking, man. Hey, man, check it out. So we got that boy Eddie Guerrero, top 10 lie, cheat, and steal moments. R.I.P. to the legend, man. But we be rock out to it, man. Let's get it. My boy Eddie Guerrero. I lie, I cheat, I steal.
1, 2, is this on?
Kurt Angle had the 3 eyes. John Cena had hustle, loyalty, and respect. For Brock Lesnar, it was eat, sleep, conquer, repeat. While for Eddie Guerrero, it was all about lying, cheating, and stealing. Eddie made a career out of tricking his opponents, lying to referees, and stealing victories, as well as all sorts of other items along the way. Guerrero's behavior was quite different from that of a typical babyface, but this was all part of his charm. That and his connection with the crowd are just some of the reasons why he's held in such high regard by fans and those within the industry.
There was nobody ever like him that talked like him and had that personality and that, and you knew when you lost Eddie Guerrero that you lost a one of a kind.
Eddie's motto of lie, cheat, steal resulted in some truly epic television that many of us look back on fondly to this day.
I mean, you really...
So for this list, we're counting down the top 10 Eddie Guerrero lying, cheating, and stealing
Let's
moments.
get it.
Before we kick off the list, we'll run through some honorable mentions. Eddie's signature way of deceiving the referee was by planting a weapon on his opponent. And Guerrero was up to his old tricks in a match against Matt Hardy on SmackDown in 2003. After the referee grabbed the United States title belt from Hardy, Eddie's nephew Chavo ran to hit Matt with the tag team belt. And this allowed Eddie to get the win. Latino Heat loved to bend the rules any way he could to gain an advantage. And this included moving the tag rope during a match where he teamed with
move the
Booker
tag
T
rope.
to face the Bashams in 2005. Even though the referee caught him, you have to love Eddie for his
Move the
creativity.
tag rope.
It was quite fitting that Eddie won his final ever match in classic lie,
Eddie
cheat, and
funny.
steal fashion. While wrestling Mr. Kennedy on SmackDown, Eddie smacked a chair off the mat and then threw it
I remember
to
that
Kennedy,
when it
while
passed
Guerrero
out.
pretended as if he had just been hit. So when the referee got back to his feet, he assessed the situation and disqualified Kennedy, thus giving Eddie the win. Number 10, stealing Kurt Angle's possessions and auctioning them off. Eddie's feud with Kurt Angle took SmackDown by storm in 2004. And even when Kurt was injured, Guerrero still found ways to torment the Olympic gold medalist. But with Kurt set to return to action by facing Eddie at SummerSlam, Latino Heat had one more trick up his sleeve to get under Angle's skin. After Kurt had been fired as SmackDown general manager, Guerrero managed to get a hold of the items Angle
man
decorated
started
his
selling
office
his
with.
shit.
Eddie hatched a plan to auction off each one of Kurt's possessions for charity.
Even a gold
Kurt
medal.
eventually interrupted and looked to get revenge by stealing Guerrero's lowrider. Unfortunately for Angle, Eddie had booby-trapped the car, which left Kurt humiliated. Guerrero then got Angle's music to play, as Eddie and the fans then sang along with "You Suck" chants directed at Angle.
You suck. You suck.
The next week, Eddie came out with some of SmackDown's divas to try and help increase the value of Angle's possessions. They each signed Angle's old leg cast, while Eddie offered to add hydraulics to Kurt's wheelchair. Eddie then mentioned that he, just like
Not the
Angle, also
hydraulics.
competed in the Olympics.
Yo, Eddie was funny. Yo, Sam add hydraulics to the
Olympic
chair.
Games. Eddie then
Not
shows
to
us
the
a hilarious
wheelchair.
promotional video hyping SummerSlam in which Eddie cheats to win the 100-meter sprint.
Stole my memorabilia. That was for a good cause. That was for charity. I don't give
That was for
Number
30,
9,
Holmes.
cheating backfires. Next, we'll look at a match where Eddie's attempt to cheat backfired.
Yeah,
This
he
happened
used to
when
get caught.
Booker
He
T
did used to
challenged
get
Rey
caught.
Mysterio and Rob Van Dam for the WWE
I remember
tag
he
team
was
titles
waving at
on the
somebody
last
on the
SmackDown
ground.
in
He caught
2004.
him.
After the referee got inadvertently taken out, a familiar smile came over Eddie's face, which is usually a precursor to him bringing a weapon into the ring. However, this time, Eddie wrestled with his conscience a bit before grabbing the tag belt and placing it onto the chest of Rey Mysterio, so that when Nick Patrick got up, it looked as though Rey had hit Eddie with the gold. Eddie tried his luck once.
Oh, yeah, dang
more,
right,
but
this is
no,
what I was
as
talking
Patrick
about.
turned around when Eddie was taunting Mysterio. Latino Heat then tried to convince the ref he'd been hit. Even getting Patrick to raise his hand, but as he did this, Rey interrupted and was eventually able to pin Guerrero, allowing Mysterio and RVD to retain the tag titles.
Eddie
After the
is
match,
funny,
Eddie
bro.
hilariously explained to Booker T what had happened, while Mysterio laughed, having got one over on Latino Heat. Number 8, Poison's Big Show's Burrito. By the
What?
fall of 2003, Eddie
Yeah,
held
what,
both
the
the
Big Show
United States
Burrito?
and tag team titles, as his popularity was soaring. It was during this time that Eddie also had some run-ins.
Damn,
with
Big Show was big
who
as
had his
shit.
eyes on the US
Damn.
Championship.
He
After
made
Show
Eddie
attacked
look so damn
Guerrero's
small. I mean, mean, Eddie
Backstage,
was small,
planned
but
to get his
damn, Big Show
revenge.
big as
First,
shit.
you would see a Mexican gentleman attempt to deliver some burritos to Eddie. However, the Big Show took a few for himself, leaving just one for Eddie that Show covered in some special sauce. Show then wrestled Orlando Jordan. However, it was clear that something was wrong with the world's largest athlete. Show was in so much trouble
man
he
got
had to
shit.
walk out on the match to get to the nearest toilet. This meant Big Show lost via countout, but this would be the least of the Giants' worries. With Show struggling inside a bathroom stall, Eddie revealed his master plan. Latino Heat had covered the burritos with a secret sauce of his own. Both men played their roles to perfection here, with Big Show especially delivering some priceless facial expressions.
No, damn, what that bathroom too small for Big
And as
Show.
if it couldn't get any worse for the Big Show,
that
the
Dookie?
next week he'd still be full of crap, but it was going to take more than toilet paper to clean up this mess. Number 7,
Ew.
Eddie
Don't
steals
spray
the
that nigga
Great
with
American
shit.
Award. With Kurt Angle out injured and having taken up the role of SmackDown General Manager, he was asked with deciding the #1 contender for Eddie Guerrero's WWE Championship. This was to be decided via fan voting on WWE.com, where the winner would also receive the Great
I hate it, bro.
American Award
Y'all
for
remember
his-
that? It was called like Turbo Tuesday or some shit. Like I ain't really get to see Turbo Tuesday because I wasn't really into wrestling at that age. But I look back on that shit. That shit probably that shit sounded stupid,
Despite
bro. I ain't
John
even gonna
Cena's
lie.
landslide victory, the #1 contendership and award was given to JBL. Angle then revealed the trophy. However, it was clear that it had been stolen by Eddie. Guerrero then drove down to the ring using the award as a hood ornament. Eddie threatened to destroy the trophy as well as JBL's limo, while Angle demanded the trophy be given back. Guerrero did eventually break part of the trophy by snapping off one of the eagle's wings.
I would be extremely. Oh, what the?
Eddie then proceeded to attack JBL with the trophy as Bradshaw and Angle fled the ring. From there, Guerrero destroyed the award with a steel chair. Angle was on fire during this segment as he and JBL sold their anger over Eddie stealing and breaking the trophy tremendously. As for Eddie, well, he was his usual comedic self here. Overall, this was a great way to continue his feud with Kurt Angle while also kickstarting the WWE Champion's feud with JBL. Number 6, stealing Ric Flair's number. Next, we have an all-time great Royal Rumble moment that took place at the 2005 event. Eddie and Ric Flair were next out to draw their numbers for the Rumble match. Flair went first and was overjoyed after finding out the number he drew. Guerrero, on the other hand, wasn't so pleased.
What he
After the
get?
Nature Boy was
Oh,
done
yeah, this way he
celebrating,
switched. I
Eddie
remember
hugged
this
him
way.
and wished
Yo,
Ric
switched
good
with
luck.
Rick.
After Eddie left, Flair then proudly showed off his number to the Divas and general managers. They looked on in confusion, and Nate would soon find out why when he looked at his number again and came to an unfortunate realization.
Guerrero. Guerrero.
Easy.
Guerrero stole my number.
Later
No, he
on
did-
in
my
the
man
show,
finessed
SmackDown
him.
GM Teddy Long demanded that Eddie return the stolen number.
I don't
to
got that
Flair.
number. What you
Eddie
talking
eventually
about?
gave it back, but there was still another surprise in store for the Nature Boy.
What?
My wallet. Look at that.
Once the Royal Rumble match began, we would soon learn why Guerrero had switched out his number
Yo.
for Flair's. Since Eddie entered the match first,
My man took
while
that nigga
Rick was
wallet.
the final entrant in the coveted number 30 spot. Number 5, Eddie caught red-handed by the referee. We've got another example of Eddie being caught in the act of cheating, and it once again involves Rey Mysterio. This time,
Boy,
it
that
he and
feud was
Eddie that were the
amazing,
tag
bro.
team
Eddie versus
champions,
Rey.
But that didn't stop the two from wrestling each other
Oh,
on SmackDown
man.
in early 2005.
That's when wrestling was
Sometime
in its
into the
prime,
match,
boy.
The referee accidentally ended up on the receiving end of a seated senton by Rey. The smirk on Eddie's face could only mean one thing. Guerrero set out to stage the scene again, just like before, but this time he was extra careful. However, Rey managed to turn the tables by throwing the belt to Eddie while the ref, Brian Hebner, got back up.
Ray is the tag team goal, and Ray just turned the tables on Eddie. The referee's coming too.
Guerrero then had to hide the belt under his body as Hebner attempted to figure
Y'all
out
trying
what
to
happened.
hide it.
And just when Eddie tried to dispose of the title, Hebner caught him in the act as Ray laughed on in the background. Hebner
Hey,
saw this and then
yo.
confronted Ray, threatening to disqualify both men. As Guerrero complained, he had unknowingly positioned
619.
himself for the 619, but he was able to dodge it, responding with a small package that Mysterio was able to counter into a pin of his own, and this ultimately earned Ray the win. Afterward, Ray forcibly shook Eddie's hand after Guerrero had refused to show any sportsmanship. They eventually hugged, although it was clear Eddie was upset that Mysterio had now gotten the better of him twice. This played into Eddie's eventual heel turn on Ray that occurred a few months later. Number 4, stealing JBL's limo. Even though Eddie had his lowrider, that didn't stop him from having fun with other people's cars. JBL experienced this more than
Nigga
once.
took his
including the
wheels.
time Eddie stole Bradshaw's limo on SmackDown in 2004.
You took his wheels.
We are going for a ride, and it's gonna be better than Disneyland.
It's gonna be better than
When Guerrero returned to the
Disneyland.
arena with the limo, it was clear he'd been out on one hell of a joyride. Once JBL
Yo, I
regained
miss Eddie,
consciousness,
bro. Eddie
he
was
crawled out
too
the backseat,
funny.
and it was only then that he
It's
realized
gonna be
just how
better
much
than
damage
Disneyland,
Eddie had
Holmes.
caused. This drove Bradshaw to tears while Guerrero looked on, grinning from ear to ear to close out an incredibly funny segment.
It looks like you got a hangover, ese.
Damn.
Viva mi raza!
Number 3, Eddie's whipful thinking. On the November 6th, 2003
Oh, yeah, I remember this. He
episode of
spanked
SmackDown,
the
Deck was
ref.
stacked against Eddie. He went up against the Basham brothers in a 2-on-1 handicap match. The Bashams also had Shaniqua in their corner, who was armed with a whip. Eddie attempted a frog splash, but as he did this, Shaniqua got on the apron and distracted the referee, Nick Patrick. While the Basham switched places in the ring, Guerrero poked Shaniqua in the eye and managed to get a hold of the whip, which Eddie then used on both Danny Basham and Nick Patrick before planting the whip on Basham just as Nick turned around.
The smoking gun!
And with Basham distracted, this allowed Eddie to swoop in
Disqualified.
with the schoolboy and pick up the victory. It was a classic moment with Eddie winning the only way he knew how. Number 2, WWE title victory. Eddie walked into the 2004 No Way Out event wrestling the biggest match of his career, challenging Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. Despite being the heavy underdog on paper, Guerrero was the overwhelming favorite in the eyes of the crowd. He was without question one of the most popular wrestlers in the company.
Viva la
going into the pay-per-view.
raza.
With the referee down, Lesnar's rival Goldberg looked set to hand Eddie the
My
win
man's
by hitting a
Goldberg.
spear on
I
the
don't like
champion.
Goldberg,
But
bro. I'm
this could only
sorry. I
muster
just don't
up
like
a
his
2 count
wrestling.
from the official. And with the refs still barely conscious, Guerrero attempted to use the WWE title belt to nail Brock, only for the champ to duck and kick Eddie in the gut before hoisting him up for the F5. But Latino Heat responded with a miraculous
DDT!
counter, DDTing Lesnar onto the gold. And with the capacity crowd on their feet, Eddie delivered a frog splash. The referee crawled over to count the 3, making Eddie Guerrero the new WWE champion. The celebrations were spectacular, as Eddie jumped into the crowd, celebrating with the very people who would help make all this happen through their
That's
unwavering
love.
support.
It's a different kind of high tonight!
Eddie.
Number 1, WrestleMania Moment. Eddie continued to
Allah,
treat fans to some
Achi,
fantastic
Asti.
television whilst WWE champion, but it couldn't have been a tougher first big title defense than against Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 20. Angle dissected Guerrero's ankle to the point where Eddie looked to untie his boot to relieve the pressure as he struggled in pain. Kurt went straight back to the ankle lock, but because he had hold of
Oh, yeah, he
Guerrero's
rolled out the boot. I
champion
remember
was
that.
able to loosen his foot out, even more allowing Eddie to escape the hold. Leaving Angle with Eddie's boot in his hand as Guerrero used a small package to score the pinfall, with both his feet on the ropes for leverage.
Easy. Curled him up. Easy.
Eddie had once again found an ingenious way to win a match, and with such high stakes up for grabs on the grandest stage of them all, victory couldn't have tasted any sweeter. Although lying, cheating, and stealing in real life might not be the best idea, in the world of wrestling it can breed creativity, resulting in hilarious moments, and if you're as good as Eddie Guerrero, create one of the most beloved wrestlers of all time. And that
Facts.
brings us to the end of this video.
Hey, man,
As
that's
always,
going to do it for Eddie Guerrero, man. R.I.P. to that boy. R.I.P. to the legend, man. Allah, I cheat,
if you
I
enjoyed the video, be sure
steal.
to give
What
it
the
a like
fuck?
and subscribe to the channel. And if you like,
Allah, I cheat, I steal. That was my man. Hey, man, that's going to do it for that video. Let me just see in the comments below. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Hope I enjoyed the vibe, man. Peace.